Hey there, I'm Mark.
And I'm Evan.
On this week's episode, we talk about date with destiny.
I've been away for a week, and some of my biggest learnings on this journey. There he is, Mark Drager. We're doing a special Something to Prove podcast episode on IG Live. I've been away at Date with Destiny for the past week and have not made any content, so we're doubling up. This serves as our podcast, as well as my Instagram Live, as well as whatever else we're going to turn this into. So here we go, Mark Drager. Kick us off.
Let's go. So first of all, I just want to ask. So when you say that you were off, like you did this all remotely from home, right? Like Date with Destiny, you didn't fly out to Orlando or wherever.
Yeah, it was right? From home. Yeah, virtual.
Okay, and it was interesting to me because you went like super silent. I know that you said, "Hey, I'm focusing on this." Last week, you warned everyone. You sent out this email to everyone saying, "Hey, just so you know, I'm doing this thing with Tony's team." But I sent you a few Facebook messages, I think one or two, and then an IG message, and I did not hear anything the whole time. So I don't think I've ever seen you go that deep, because even when you went on your honeymoon on that cruise to China and all over the place with your wife, even then you were emailing me.
Yeah, no, I went off. I mean, the event's pretty. I knew going in from our other events. You know, I've done 3
Unleash the Power Within.
UPWs, and it's kind of bonkers to try to get stuff done while you're working. We still did it. We still managed. I remember when I went to UPW the first time, I was trying to vlog it too. And I vlogged going there, and then it's just
silent.
You just can't, because it's all day, all night. You're barely sleeping anyway. So I just stopped, and I didn't know what to expect from Date with Destiny. Tony promotes it as
you've watched the documentary. No, I'm Not Your Guru. Netflix documentary. I'm Not Your Guru. It's Date with Destiny, 7 days or whatever.
Yeah, but that's
5
like
days.
that's just touches the surface. So I was expecting, I just wanted to be prepared to not have to do anything just in case, right? So I scheduled a whole bunch of stuff out. I recorded videos like the day before it started, had everything ready for my team, posted that I wasn't posting IG content, didn't do lives. Today I caught up on all of my IG DMs and Facebook and just emails and everything, right? So Friday is normally my CEO day, but today was not CEO day. Today was catch up on everything day. I just wanted to not have the burden of having to be on top of things and having the, I still filled my time. I mean, it was funny. So I did nothing on the business. I came up with ideas, but I sent emails to myself and my team a little bit, but I didn't see any responses because it was on pause. But I still had to fill my creative energy. So like I painted the wall red here. This one is black. So we did some painting.
You painted while you're doing Date with Destiny. You're painting.
Yeah.
You installed a light fixture.
I installed a light fixture.
What? You don't need to call me over to your house ever
I know,
again.
It's crazy. And this serves as their spotlights that go on each painting, each picture.
Yes.
So there's 6 spotlights. There's five pictures, and then anyway. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you got rid of that big nasty light fixture with all the balls or whatever, right?
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah,
You used to have that big one in your office with all the stuff.
I'm probably gonna put it in the bedroom. We'll see.
What am I talking about? The light you just took down.
That was on day 1, dude. You know what's happened since then?
Okay. So first of all, here's a question I have for you. So you come back this morning or last night, right? Come back. You're back to work. How many emails did you have waiting for you?
Oh wow. I don't know, 500.
Okay, so not that bad.
Not too bad. I mean, I offloaded my so my newsletter emails I don't get anymore. Like if you respond, that used to be crazy. Anybody respond in an email newsletter, that's when I was getting like a couple hundred a day.
Okay. And so what is Date with Destiny then?
It's a multi-day. Like a bunch of them are I need to take action on. It's not just like, hey, thank you for this message or something, right? Like I got to actually get through them. So it takes some time. What is Date with Destiny?
Yeah.
So Tony pitches it's his favorite program. It's his most intense program, where you're supposed to, rewire all of your limiting beliefs and values and have your date with destiny. You know,
And
find
did
out
you do
what your
that?
destiny.
Did you achieve that?
Did I achieve that? I got a lot out of it, and there's definitely pros and cons of being from home, but I got a lot out of it. What was great was there's very little overlap with UPW, which I was going in thinking, okay, I was ready for the whole thing to be open and lots of learning and brand new, but I was also expecting a bunch of the content to be repeat and just, okay, I know this, but we'll go deeper. Why not? Like, but there's almost nothing. There's almost nothing that was from UPW. So that was great for me, having been 3 times to that other one. There's a lot of interventions, which was awesome. So there's a lot.
That's the best part.
Yeah,
that's like the best part is watching him do his thing and then learning as he goes through it.
And an intervention is for people who don't know, is somebody volunteers their answers of their story, and then Tony basically works on them from 20 minutes to an hour and a half, right, depending on what the problem is. And at UPW, there's usually 1, maybe 2 if you're lucky, but 1. And that's when he's like, okay, who's suicidal? I think is his UPW one, right? Who's suicidal? If somebody stands up and he works on that person. I think it's the one we saw when we went. But this one there's 3 a day. It's crazy. And it's usually a share. So he gives you some exercise to do. And then they put you in breakout rooms because it's a remote Zoom. So you're put in the breakout rooms. Nina and I ignored the breakout rooms and just did it together. Which is, there's pros and cons. I mean, I'm in the Tony's guest, his VIP group, right? CIS, which is chairman invited seating. So everybody in that group, there's a lot of Hollywood people, a lot of actors in that group, actors, producers, some super recognizable, faces. But instead, we just had our camera off the whole time, and Nina and I did it together just for our own experience. So he gives you an exercise, you do breakout rooms, and then you come back and he says, hey, who wants to volunteer their thing? And people put up their hands, and then he brings them on and they share. And then he just basically, whatever they share, he turns it into something, and it becomes this full on, intervention. So that was awesome, right? Like they get 3 a day of them. And then I'm watching like, ooh, how would I coach that person differently? Like, how is Tony doing it? And how would I do it differently? So that was fun.
You're watching game tape. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm watching it as it's happening. Like, ooh, would I have asked that? Would I have seen that connection? And I'm also trying to predict the connections coming up. So that was super fun. So it was surprising how many interventions there were. It was awesome. I loved it. It was great.
And so you went into it with what intention? You went into it for Nina? You went into it for yourself? What was your intention going into it?
I went into it for us. I went into it for me and Nina. For Nina.
Oh, I thought you meant us, like you and me. I was like, that's amazing. Thank you. That's so generous.
Forget Mark. Jesus. I mean, I did say, Mark, we're doing this. If you and Jacqueline want to join in and do it, let's go. But once Mark said no, then whatever. That guy's dead to me for the next week. Let's go and do this. No, I went in for me and Nina. The business side of things have been pretty dialed in. I mean, I'm very excited about what I've got coming up. Nina hasn't been. I forgot, but the past, I went with you.
Yep. And then again with
Alex,
Louis.
And then I went with you, just the 2 of us, in what, 2 consecutive years?
No. It was within a 6-month window. We went in November, and then we went the next June. So you and I went in November of, I guess maybe 2 years ago now. 2018, I think it was. And then we went again in June or July of 19.
And I don't remember when I took my team there. So when I took Alex, Lily, Edwin, and Nina to UPW way back. It's been years. But I realized I've been a lot. And like to the fancy seats and everything. And Nina hasn't been since group UPW, like way back. So I thought, okay, this is great. A lot of the exercises that we did at UPW, I still was thinking about Nina and relationship and all that stuff. So it was great to do it with her. So yeah, the intention was just Nina, us, our happiness, our relationship. What does the next level look like? That was what I went going in thinking about. And then if anything else came from business or Evan or whatever, awesome bonus. But I was mostly there. Every time I go, it's basically to support somebody else, right? I mean, the first time was just curiosity. The second time was you. The third time was Alex. The fourth time was Nina. And I always get, lots of it. I don't go in like, oh my God, what a waste of time. So I always learn from it, but I like, going in with an intention for somebody else.
So in my experience, what I think the whole team at Robbins, Research International, whatever, the whole team behind Tony, what they do better than I think anyone else is they help you feel like it's okay to be bold. They help you feel like it's okay not to judge like really large or aggressive dreams and to face your limiting self-beliefs and realize it's just stupid and kind of really like think bigger. Like you almost have to be given permission to think bigger than everyone else tells you to think. That's been my experience. I've never been with Dating with Destiny, but did you find that was kind of the same environment and what you were helping to do is just to think bigger and to dream bigger and to set loftier goals and to push harder and all of that stuff? Or was it different enough from what I'm used to with Unleash the Power Within?
Yes, but more within the relationship context. So like more thinking about Nina and what she wants to do and building the life, right? So, but yes, I think it depends on what you have, like what your ambition is. I think in previous ones it's been much more business focused for me. So
what did you learn? What were some of your outcomes without we don't have to talk about Nina, and that's fine, but what did you learn?
So the three things that I kind of want to remind myself ongoing, like habits to try to pick up. The first was the intentionality, even more so between every event that I'm doing or every so like this, just before going on here is like, hey, I'm thankful for what just happened, and now I want to show up for Mark and have a great podcast together. And then after this, it's like, okay, I got a call right after this, helping super successful guy with his YouTube channel, and so it's gonna, hey, that was awesome with Mark, and now I'm gonna go to show up for him, right, for this other guy, and just trying to remind myself more in between. So I got my sleeve on under here, and so it's just like it's just a slow like, hey, it's honestly, it's like you touch the sleeve, I close my eyes, like what am I just recently thankful for? Thankful for this awesome conversation with Mark. He's awesome. It's great. I missed him, and now I'm gonna go show up for blank, and I want to really help him with his YouTube channel. So just more intentionality between the moments inside each day. I do it well on a macro and on the day, like today is CEO day or public facing day or whatever, but inside each one, I could do a better job in between. So that was one. The second one was, so Tony has an interesting question that it reminded me of your one word, but instead of one value, because that's more aspirational, he calls it your primary question. So what's your primary question? And the idea is, what is the question you ask yourself most on a daily basis?
So one thing I did pick up from Tony, which I loved so much, is he is so focused on the questions, right? The question that you ask yourself, your brain will give the answer to. So if you say, why am I such an idiot? Your brain is going to answer that question by pulling out all of these backgrounds. So,
what's the question?
The fact that he's focused on like the question you ask yourself most, I love that.
On a day-to-day basis, like what question do you ask yourself the most today? And it's a subconscious thing, it's like just you run it so often. Anyway, so for me, it was like, how do I make this better? Like, how do I fix this? How do I fix it? How do I make it better? And it super served me. And what was interesting was that's what Tony shared as his primary question too. So it's like, as I'm writing it down, he says that's what his primary question was as well. And then he challenged himself to say, okay, well, what if I couldn't? Like, what if I couldn't fix it? And then his gut reaction was, but of course I'm going to fix it. Which is for me too. He's like, yeah, of course. Like, there's no way. Of course I'm going to show up and just fix it. Of course. And then what ended up happening was, a question like that it served him. It serves me. It gives, you're looking to help, you're looking to serve, and your identity gets tied to it, that like, I just think I can go in and make anything better. But the downside of it, which was super interesting, was that it presupposes that something is wrong, which is interesting. And so sometimes just showing up, like what's at the core is, hey, you want to give love. And the way I give love is by fixing things, right? So what if you just gave love without fixing anything, right? So like in the scenarios where there's nothing to fix, instead of finding something to fix, just giving some love. So that was interesting. And I could see that normally what would happen is if I can't find a way to fix something or a problem, I'll just get bored and tune out.
But acts of service is your love language, not necessarily fixing things. Maybe that's one way you express it. But I mean, listen, man, there's been times where, I mean, we haven't done this during COVID, but last fall or whatever, you canceled your entire schedule for the day, went to Costco, bought a whole bunch of keto snacks because, you know, Louie and I are on keto, and then showed up at our office and hung out with us for a few hours. Okay. That wasn't there to fix anything. You did it because you were like, well, you Instagrammed it, and I remember it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I mean, you just, and then you went to try to buy donuts, and you wanted to buy all of the donuts at Tim Hortons, like you just wanted to buy the whole case. And so I know that you go like, I want to fix it. But actually, acts of service is your love language. And there are plenty of times that you do what you need to do to show your love and to help people without ever fixing anything. I've seen you do that.
Yeah. So if you use that language, that there may not be an act of service that has to get done. Like that might be my love language, but again, it may not be what other people, that's not how they receive, and it doesn't mean anything to them. So then it's not actually serving them if you show up and do something that they don't really care about. You know, like if you actually want them to feel love, maybe it's doing something else, or not doing, or just sitting with them, or just complimenting them, right? So it's interesting, like the presupposition of something is wrong and it needs fixing is even hard. Like, yeah, of course something's wrong. Something's wrong right now. I can fix that. It's just, but
we can get better. Of course you can get better.
But it's not always the right call. It served me super well, but it's just not always the right call. And so that was what was interesting. When you hear other people, you listen to the people in our group. And again, these are super accomplished people, multimillionaires, super recognizable faces. And their primary question was like, why do I suck so much? Or like, and that's the question that they ask themselves the most on a daily basis, right? Like some of them are rough, right? Like, oh, wow, that's what you're asking yourself every day? Like, I'm nowhere close to that. But but it's interesting to see what people had. So I like that approach. The primary question, I've never even heard Tony talk about that anywhere. You know, I've seen a lot of his content, obviously in what I do and the UPWs and everything, interviews, but I've never heard him say that. So it's basically finding out what is your primary question and what is wrong with it, or how can it better serve you.
Replacing it, no? Like if it's a negative, like why do I suck so much? Or for me, like a lot of times I ask myself, why aren't I? Like why can't I? You know, like why am I allowing myself to sleep in? Why am I like same negative things of why you suck so much, but just, you know, like why do I not want to attack this thing? Why do I not want to do this thing? Why am I so tired? You know, I've recently replaced that with better language, but is the idea that you would take this question and if it's not great, why do I suck so much? You're going to find something better to say?
Yeah. One, to recognize how it's held you back and what there's probably some strengths to it. Like, why do I suck so much could then drive you to go and get better. And so you want to keep that drive. The idea isn't to take away the drive, but then to complement it with something better. So how do I fix this is still fantastic for me. But how could I, instead of always seeing something as a problem?
So this is interesting because just last weekend I was working on in my journal and stuff, and I literally came down to like the question that I didn't realize that I need to ask myself, but that has actually been the central question to almost everything I do.
Okay.
And the question is, who do I need to be? And so I've started using that question. Who do I need to be? Because obviously, you know, maybe all of us aren't happy with how we show up all the time, but there are certain moments or certain times where it calls for you to show up a certain way. So if you're giving a speech, the easiest way to explain is like, who do you need to be? You need to be someone who's really confident on stage. So, you know, if I don't feel like going to the gym, who do I need to be? I need to be someone who's willing to go to the gym and get up early and do those things. So like, it's such a simple question, but that's what I've been, I like it a lot only as a tool because It helps me stop, decide what persona needs to show up to be able to achieve what I want to achieve in that moment, and then put that on and go out and do that. You know, a strong person would show up and do this. I better be strong. Let's go. I need to be the person who's strong.
Well, and listen, that'll work 50 to 90% of the time.
I'm good with 90% of the time.
Well, I don't know. Depends. Like, this is an individual thing, but the other 10 to 50 is then the presupposition that you're not enough.
Yes.
Like, I need to be somebody else because how I am right now.
Because just showing up isn't good enough. Yeah, no, I know. I know the dangerous side of that.
So that's the ooh, okay. So as long as you're not playing in that zone, right? Just, I don't know. It's interesting. Just asking that. Just asking the question. This is I like new, you know, any new self-awareness. He's got his whole like, you've got your Enneagram and he's got his like wood, fire, water, like all of those things are great. You never perfectly fit into a bucket. And then the third thing was just interruptions. Just I want to get better with dealing with interruptions, especially when it's Nina. So and we both suck at this. If we're interrupting each other while we're doing something, we're not super rude to each other, but it's like, why did you interrupt? The immediate thought is not one of happiness, which I'm actually fine with for the most part. Like if you're interrupting me for something, it's like, Drager, I'm working. Like, don't do this.
Oh man, right? The last text you sent me on Facebook, I've read so many times because I love it so much, and I've repeated this line to me. It was I sent you something on Facebook, and you just wrote back and said, you said, okay, thank you. This isn't urgent. I have an empire to build here. And I was like, yes, I love that attitude. And so like you were chastising me for bothering you or interrupting you with something that wasn't urgent. And so I was like, okay, no taken. But mostly for the last few days, I've been just like, Evan's got an empire to build. So do I. We have empires to build here, people.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because the therapy that I've been doing, one of the questions, at least on the anxiety, depression type scale, is how acceptable or comfortable are you with interruptions, and how bothered do you get when an interruption pulls you away from a task that you feel very compelled to complete.
Okay.
And so apparently this is an indicator for just being what they call keyed up. So like just having a lot of anxiety or a lot of stress. If you're trying to do this thing and you feel all this pressure and something's coming and bothering you and you're reacting negatively to it, you may have anxiety. You may have stress. Those are the things that drive people to get really, really upset when they're being pulled away from something they deem to be important.
Great. It doesn't work so well.
You may have anxiety and stress is all I'm saying.
Well, listen, trying to make the world conform to you is stressful.
But you've done that very well.
As it should be. And I think that's good, right? The unreasonable man makes the world conform to him. That's what I'm doing. And all progress depends on the unreasonable man. But that doesn't work. So I have no problem in telling Mark, don't send me a stupid Facebook post about whatever that story was. It was okay. Oh, it was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
What you said. We don't talk about it.
No, but the takeaway for me was, one, awesome. Thank you for the feedback. You reminded me. Okay, great. But two, the line I've been repeating myself is like, yeah, we have empires to build here, right? Like the old me feels like that's super conceited and egotistical and self-centered. And how could you say that even say that out loud? What if people? It's like, no, like we've got things to make happen here, people. Let's go.
So that doesn't work so well in personal relationships, right? So this is where, Nina comes in and wants to ask me something like, Nina, get out of here. I got an empire to build. Doesn't work so well, right? And I would never say that, but it's in my eyes and it's in my, it's what I'm thinking. And it's also what she's thinking. Not that she wants an empire to build, but she doesn't neither of us like being interrupted. So that causes, I like having my schedule, and in the morning we do some things together and some things without. And depending on when she wakes up, I have to adjust my schedule, right? So we can do the thing together. But I don't like it because it's not predictable, right? It's kind of predictable. So there's an exercise at UPW that he did talk about again today, which was the train, where the train came and interrupted them, and anytime the train came through, everybody cheered.
Yeah,
So I basically like treat Nina like the train, so that anytime she interrupts me, it's
celebration time.
Celebrate. Yeah, let's celebrate.
Yeah.
So that's what and now I'm not getting bombarded. She knows that if she's going to interrupt me, it's something important, at least to her. It may not be important to me, but it's important to her in what she's doing. So it's not like we're interrupting each other all day long, but I just want to get better at it. So that's one of the habits that's the third thing to try to improve. There are a bunch of things that happen right away. As soon as I saw.
So like self-awareness, you unlocked it, done.
No, more like, so he does this Hawaiian blessing, called the Ho'oponopono, something like that. Ho'oponopono.
The Ho'oponopono?
Ho'oponopono.
I can guarantee you got that wrong. It's not
Ho'oponopono, something like that. Anyway, which is it's a Hawaiian blessing for forgiveness, and the concept is super interesting. Where when you're dealing with somebody, if they're lashing out, it's because they're in pain, right? And that is something I've already believed in, right? But if somebody's coming at you with negativity, you believe that they're good people. Why? Because they're in a lot of pain. Great. The Ho'oponopono is you temporarily accept responsibility for the pain. Like if you're in pain right now because of something, your stepfather said or did, then if I'm talking to you, I'm taking responsibility for whatever he did. Like it's my fault. Right?
Okay.
And then what are the 4 sentences? It's I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Please forgive me.
Okay, so the 5 steps of an apology, basically.
Thank you, and I love you.
Oh, those not the 5 steps of the apology. Okay.
I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So like if you did something wrong, fine, but I didn't do anything wrong. But to actually help you get out of that, like if I can accept responsibility for in the moment, to then say that to you,
yeah.
It allows you to heal and forgive, even though you're not talking to your stepfather or whoever like caused you the problem. So I love that. I was like, this is amazing.
Okay.
So like right away, I emailed
I'm not sure I understand it. So like I understand it in theory. I'm not sure I understand the power behind it.
Well, if you like, those are the words that you want to hear from the person who caused you harm.
No.
Well, if you want to forgive
my
them.
stepfather was I don't want to forgive him. Well, and I know that it's like me drinking poison, but if
that's a whole other issue, but like,
okay,
but like deep down, yeah, carrying the poison is not going to be.
I know that holding a grudge and not forgiving is like you taking poison expecting the other person to die. Someone quoted that. I understand that, but if we were to run through this exercise with my stepfather, and I grew up in an abusive home and he's an alcoholic and has mental health issues and all these things, and you wanted to play the role of him and tell me that whatever those 4 things were and that you loved me, I would be very opposed to that exercise.
And you may not be ready for it, but like if he actually came to you and he said, Mark, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Please forgive me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nope.
And I love you.
There's 5 steps to an apology, right? So it's not just enough to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's what are you going to do to make it right? What corrective actions are you going to take? And then you ask for forgiveness, right? Will you forgive me? Like there are proper steps.
Listen,
to it,
you can.
No, I don't want to get into.
It's different frameworks. There's no proper steps. Okay?
There's a right way to apologize.
You're fine. There's no proper way. You can go look up the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian blessing.
The Ho'oponopono.
But
let's see what it's really called.
So you can go look it up. Hawaiian blessing.
Robbins Hawaiian blessing. Oh, saying it comes up right now. Here we go. Tony Robbins Hawaiian saying at around the 18 marks. The Hawaiian words. Ho, Opon, Opono.
Hope.
Ho,
There's a hope.
Opoano,
There's a-
Opo.
Yeah. Anyway.
So it's HOOPONOPONO.
Oponopono, I think it is. Hope Oponopono. Hope
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hope Oponopono. Yeah. So listen. So as soon as I saw that exercise, fantastic. I love the idea. I emailed my guy who's doing my community tab management, right? Who's like responding to people's comments and stuff. And I said, listen, go look up Ho'oponopono and see if you're comfortable with, like, if you like it. And if you do, then I think any negative comment that we get on the channel, respond with that.
You're going to absorb.
Yeah, just respond.
And
with
then
that.
respond with those 4 steps.
Respond with that. Yeah. And he said, I love it. I'm going to do it. And so we did. And then what great luck that night we released a video on Michelle Obama, which anytime you do anybody, right? Anybody political.
Yeah, you're going to get.
We did.
Half the people are going to hate it.
Always, right? Like my most disliked video of all time is Hillary Clinton. The Democrats get just destroyed. So what great timing. Now, Michelle Obama, I guess, she's out of office, or I don't know, she wasn't even really in office. It doesn't matter. Like as soon as that comes up, like, oh my God, it's about to blow up. And it's not, listen, most of the comments are still positive. We have a great community, but percentage wise, whenever you do a politician's going to get destroyed. So here we go. Let's put it to the test. And so you see the responses, and he's putting it in. And then my favorite comment, which I pinned to the top, was, this was a great video, but how Evan and his team are responding to the negativity was saying, like, those 4 sentences is like, whatever, a masterclass in something. Like, I love it. It's working. It's great. Let's do it. Opono. Whatever.
You got to learn how to say that.
Yeah, I know. So those are the things. It's like, hey, that's like immediate, right? And there's a bunch of those things that as soon as I got it, like, let's go apply it. This makes so much sense. I don't have to do anything, afterwards. Like that's just super easy to apply. The other ones, the 3 things that I shared, were more habits that I agree with, but it's now actually executing on that I need the kind of daily reminders.
So when you go to something like this, because you, I don't know how to ask this, you already believe so much in yourself. You already have consumed so much of this content over the years, and you're so good at what you're doing. You've already constructed a life that works to your schedule, and you've already, like, I guess what I'm asking is, even for yourself, as advanced as you are in this, was it worth the time and the investment for you?
Yeah, I think going with Nina definitely helped. I don't know what it would have been like if I went by myself. I mean, I would have done the breakout room, so it would have been fun sharing, although I always would rather share with, they position it as share with strangers so you can be yourself and nobody's going to judge you.
You're yourself anyway, and you don't judge anyone on anything.
I'd much rather talk to somebody who I can have an ongoing conversation with afterwards, or hold me accountable, or like, it just feels so much more. I think it makes sense. I think people are just afraid to share their answers with their husband or their wife or somebody that they know super well, because they're going to get judged. I think if you can get over that, it actually strengthens the relationship more than anything else. So it would have been a different experience without Nina. But there's always something to learn. And especially with all the new content, like going to UPW 3 times, I always took something out of it that was different than before. Even with the content being repetitive, because you've been there for, a couple times, but there was so much new content as well. Listen, the first time we went in together in November of, it was November 7th of 2018.
We were sitting in that, just off stage, CIS you mentioned. We were on the purple badge side or whatever. And so we're facing the side of the stage, and Tony, we were in the front row because we wanted to get there first. We wanted to be in the front row every day. And so we're staring at the stage, but half the time he's walking around. And so we're looking at the audience, like from the stage. Mm-hmm. And so the first few rows are the people who are Dragon, Elite, like, I don't know. Wolf Den, Dragon Elite, some kind of fancy thing. And so we're staring at them for a few days. Anyway, we go back in to Texas then, and you had the fancy seats. I didn't. We bought ourselves myself with the general area. But I was in the bathroom, and I remembered some of the people from the last time we were there. They were sitting in the front row, and they have their jackets on and stuff. And we're in the bathroom. We're walking out, and there's a gentleman there. And I said, hey, you were in New Jersey in November. I remember seeing you, because he had this gray hair and sunglasses and all this stuff. He's like, yeah. I said, so you come out to all these things? He's like, every single one. And I was like, every single one, but like, you know, if you're really involved in Tony Robbins' world, Unleash the Power Within is like the gateway. Like, that's like the baby thing. That's the basic thing. That's the place to start. And I'm thinking, this guy is coming out to every single one. And he's just like, yeah, I've been to 18 of them. You never stop coming to these things. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, it's one thing to know the content, but it's another thing to be there in this mindset, in this day. I'm getting given what I need right for me right now. Is that kind of what you found? Like, because you've been to this stuff a lot, you've consumed a lot of this stuff, but did you like, if you did this 6 months from now, would you also just get whatever you need at that moment for you that time? Or was it more of this universal life-changing thing?
Well, and I see, you know, Sapolis here in the chat says, I'm Tony Robbins Platinum. I did 15 events. I don't know that I would ever go by myself. I like going with somebody. I like the intimate experience with somebody. I like to see how they react to it. Nina was afraid going in that the energy would be too high and she wouldn't be able to maintain it. And she got a lot more out of it than she thought she was going to, which was awesome. Yeah, the max, I think, is some of the people are gone 2 out of every 4 weeks. Like, you're basically always traveling between. When you go platinum, you get access to, I think, everything. So you get the business. Yeah,
you get to business mastery. You have the relationship. Every year they swap between a relationship retreat and another retreat. And
there's a spiritual one that he does, and so basically there's something happening every month, and then you go to that thing, and you get to hang with your platinum people, which. Like-minded people who you may not be able to find other places in the world, and get the energy. And you may not be paying attention every second of it. Like, you know, some of the content of guest speakers or whatever, maybe you don't always show up to all of those things, but I don't know.
Was Tony on every day? Was Tony on every day?
Tony was on every day. Tony came every day. Every day. He came on every day.
Wow.
Every day. He wasn't on all day every day, but yeah, he means like, the doctor said if I speak for 6 hours, I need to take at least a day off. But there was one day he came just at the very end where it was midnight or something. And he came on, and Nina and I weren't expecting him because it's already midnight, you know? And then, please welcome back to the stage, Tony Robbins. Like, wait, what?
And you're like, what?
Oh my God, let's go. And he basically just did more interventions, right? Which is great, which is, you know, the best part. Yeah, it's also great. It's just great people, good vibes. You know, there's something around it's like a rock concert for personal development. Yeah. And it's just fun to cheer along this stuff, right? With other adults, you know, it's
like summer camp for adults.
Yeah. It's kind of like summer camp, personal development for adults, and fun all mixed in together. So yeah. Now, Day with Destiny is intense, right? That's 6 days. It's
yes.
And every day goes till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. They're super long days. So you're signing up for a marathon.
Yeah. Well, you know me quite well. Is it something that I should consider doing?
I think if Jacqueline would do it, I think you guys would have fun doing it. Yeah.
Together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I mean, and she could talk to Nina if you want about just apprehension or worry of the energy level, or this isn't for me or whatever. Alone, maybe. I just think it's fantastic to do with your
people.
Yeah, because it's like there's a whole relationship day, right? There's a goal setting and a relationship day, which you could do. I mean, a bunch of people were single there too. They just got out of a relationship. And so then it's more about, how do I attract the right person? Like, what have I learned? But I think being able to actually do it with your partner is just so much more powerful. And especially given to have some tools that like Jacqueline may not have ever heard of or been exposed to, and then you get to work through them together. Even if for you might get there faster because you've just been exposed to more things. Yeah. I think it would be a fun experience. Now, online versus in person, there's pros and cons. The next year is still online. They announced it's still going to be online.
Interesting.
But by yourself, I don't know. You still get value from it, just not as much. And if you went with Louis or somebody else, again, you'd still get a lot of value from it, but just not as much.
Awesome. Well, let's take some questions. We just have 15 minutes left in the episode. Those were the questions I had for you because I'm always interested in picking your brain.
Let's talk about basically online versus offline though, quick. So the online experience, there's pros and cons. So the con is the energy isn't as high. So when you're yelling and stuff, right? You're like by yourself or with your wife or whatever. But
yeah, and the person in the condo beside you is like, "What's this guy yelling about at 1 in the morning?"
Compared to
Tony Robbins is here.
5,000 people all yelling at the same time or jumping or dancing.
When we were in New Jersey, there was 14,000 people in the state. They were in the stadium and they had everything sold except for the one area. When we went to Texas, it was much smaller. But yeah, in New Jersey, there was 14,000 people screaming at us. It was pretty awesome.
So the energy is very high, and you still get that, and you do a good job. I think they do the best job you can in an online experience where they're showing people on the screen, and so that's not as good. But it's great that you're man, you can go to the bathroom whenever you want. I'm drinking 5-6 liters of water a day, and so you're heading to the bathroom, every hour, every 45 minutes.
When we went to UPC, you wouldn't drink water for the whole day because you didn't want to go to the bathroom.
I didn't want to miss content. I didn't want to miss content. I'm at the beginning. Because you missed, because if you're at a giant stadium, you're going to miss
about 15 minutes. You got to walk up, you got to go, you got to come back. Yeah.
If you want to go
the trick is to slowly walk up the stairs, watching, and then deciding, okay, go. And then you run to the bathroom and then you come back and you stand there and you just make sure you don't miss anything.
Yeah. The food is, you eat whatever you want, right? So it's easy to stay healthy because you got your fridge and everything here. So that's fantastic because the food in stadiums is never good food. You're like, now there's no health day like there is at UPW, but it's hot dogs and nachos and whatever they serve at a stadium versus you can have we loaded up on all of our salads and everything before it started. So it's we never have to go to Whole Foods or anything for the week. We're just ready to go. So that was good. Being right next to your bed was also awesome. So you can stay up later because if you got to leave the stadium,
traveling and stuff. Yeah.
Leave the stadium, get out of the stadium, get an Uber, get back to the hotel, all that stuff, right?
Get attacked by some homeless person in McDonald's, all of that stuff you could just ignore, right?
That was the morning. Yeah. So that was all good. And it was surprising still to get a lot of breakthroughs and a lot of moments and a lot of learnings and still a lot of, you're still feeling energized. You're still crying in moments. You're still, so the emotion is still there. It may not be as heightened as being there, especially for us when you're in the front row and Tony's right there, it's
spitting
different.
on you. He's spitting on you. Literally, I'm just pre-COVID, we were go ahead.
Yeah. So that kind of experience is a little different, but otherwise, yeah. The breakout rooms, again, we didn't use because Nina and I used that to work with each other. But you can stay up later. You can have lots of water. You have your own food. You got a super comfortable recliner to sit on. And
I think what's really smart, that's forced a lot of innovation, at least within Robin's organization, is now that they figured out how to kind of do this. Even if they wanted to do in-person things in the future, they could just telestream him in as he gets older, and maybe it'll be a little bit easier on him because I know that he gives his all when he's there. So
he built the studio just for this, and he said on the stream that as they open up, the back part of the studio can stay, but the front actually opens up to a live audience.
Oh, okay.
So he's already planning in his studio to have mixed virtual and in person.
Oh, very cool.
So there's
Super
people
cool.
joining there, and then also the screens. And people were joining from China and Australia and Japan, where they had,
which means they're going through the night then.
Yeah, they're
doing overnights.
They're starting. So they're starting at 1 p.m. and then they stay all the way up until whatever,
till like 8 a.m. in the morning or something.
No, past. Yeah, past.
Well, they're 13 hours ahead, right? Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, they were. Every day was crazy, like 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. We didn't always stay all the way to the end every night. Just needed to get some sleep. And then there are some moments when, especially in the early days, the second half, you get a lot of breakout sessions and a lot of time to work on the exercises. The early days is a ton of data, a ton of content. And your mind, at least for me, like it gets full. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm still working on that last thing and how to implement the last thing new. The other thing though, that I think you would really enjoy about this one is the content stacks.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask about that because that drove me crazy, because on Unleash the Power Within, like day one, I'm like, this all makes total sense. And then you go to day two and you're like, wait, hold on. You want me to ignore all the stuff we just did yesterday? And now there's a brand new set of exercises. And then by day three, I was really starting to get frustrated. I was like, how are these disparate days? How do they not stack?
It stacks super well. And so, the models you learn on day 1 and 2, when you get to
relationship day 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah. It's like, okay, remember we did this on day 1. Now we're going to do this in a relationship context. Talk to your partner, that kind of stuff.
You know what? I'm going to rewatch that documentary because I liked it so much. I'm going to rewatch it today.
Okay. I loved How Many Interventions. That was fantastic. It really was great. And surprisingly little tech issues. There's only one person who came in that he had to, like, the sound wasn't working. And he's just bringing people in their homes, right?
You just had to bounce them out, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we'll try to have them back on because you couldn't hear them. And I'm sure they're doing some kind of screening, but he's on like, okay, Mark, and then you're on, hey, Tony. Yeah. If Jacqueline would do it, I think it's worth. I don't know what the price difference is between the online versus in person. I think it's like a $5,000 or $10,000 event in person. I guess it depends what you say.
I think when you buy, I think it's like 16,000 discounted typically. So if you buy it at certain events, it's less money than if you buy at other events. But I don't know. I think, 10, 15 grand, something like that per person.
And the online is the same though. The online's probably a little cheaper.
I don't know what the online is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
Do you want to do questions?
Yeah, we can do questions. Cam Williams says, would you recommend Date with Destiny for young entrepreneurs who could invest in that or advertising for their business?
Two different purposes, no?
Yeah. I think, I mean, this is more about education and life development. I think especially Date with Destiny is more on life more than business. I think UPW, you could apply anywhere. UPW is just about mindset and belief systems, and that can have a big spillover into your business. Business Mastery, I haven't been, but it's all focused. You see like little snippets.
We have a mutual friend who went. Nikki Pett went to Business Mastery.
Okay.
She enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's going to be hardcore on business. This one is more about life, right? Like there's a whole day on relationships. Do you care about that? Do you care about, maybe you don't, if you're not in that space, then I wouldn't go. If you are, then I think it's going to be really helpful. Mark didn't really have anything there.
I hosted.
Yeah. Bo in the house. I missed Evan. I was lost for a week and hid under a rock until your resurrection.
That sounds like Bo. Afraid to leave the house.
It was fun. It was fun taking a week off. And it was interesting to see again how much I still needed to, and I still need to do something. Even though I'm getting hit with tons of educational content, I still had to paint my office and install lights and do other things.
ADHD maybe a little bit?
I see it more as I have creativity in me that has to come out and I can apply it anywhere. But the creativity has to be expressed. I have creativity that needs to be expressed. And if I can't do it, I'm going to be frustrated. So I could apply it to painting an office or to buying keto snacks for Mark or to my business or to, you know, anything else. But it's a low risk thing that like, hey, if I dove into landing pages and stuff, I'd be thinking about it while I'm doing the content as well.
So it's like people who knit just as something to keep their hands busy and doing something while they're busy having conversations or whatnot. So you're busy painting while you're figuring out how to fix you and your wife's relationship and build the life you want.
Well, no. Like it was during off content. So for example, when they're doing a sales pitch, right? So they have a sales pitch for business mastery. I think it's actually way better than the last 2 times that we went. There was the guy, I forget his name. The guy from Georgia the bald guy from Georgia who has a scrap metal business. Yeah. And so
or Michigan or something.
So the first time you hear it, it's okay. And then the second time you hear it's basically the exact same thing. And you know, it's a sales pitch. So you kind of tune out or leave or whatever, right? Didn't have that this time. They had basically an interview with people who were in the programs and them telling their stories, struggles they had, belief system they had, what they learned from it. So there's actual like good content in there too, but not as applicable as the other stuff that you're learning.
Did they have the really nice woman who was the athlete who runs the horse charity? Did she come out? Do you know who I'm talking about or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
What a random description. If you don't know who I'm talking about, then yeah, you don't remember.
So during those, like that's the time to paint, or on your, you know, in the breakout rooms, if it doesn't go as long, then you paint, right? So the mornings we didn't start until 10, so we woke up at 8 and went to Home Depot and got some paint, and then come home and paint. Yeah,
there you go.
So just creative energy. The light gave me a lot of confidence. I made a video just before I went, before I kind of shut down for the week, and I said, I'm a 40-year-old man who doesn't know how to change a light. That's okay, right? Like that's like.
So did you just go on to YouTube and learn like, oh, white to white, black to black, copper to green, like spin and go?
Yeah, I watched. So the video I was making was about vulnerability and just we're afraid to say things that make us look stupid.
Yeah.
And so like, hey, listen, I'm 40 years old. I don't know how to change a light, and I'm comfortable sharing that, right? It's like if you think I'm an idiot or a loser because of that, awesome, let's go. And I'm going to learn how to do this for the first time.
See, that's not real vulnerability though, because I know that like you went online, learned how to change the light and you changed the light. I know that you purposefully don't teach yourself things because you, 1, have no interest in it, 2, know that if you wanted to attack it, you would be able to achieve it. So you don't see it as a challenge. So changing the light couldn't be that. I mean, I'm gonna push back. If you wanted to change a light 10 years ago, you just would have, right? It's not something that you've been harboring and holding on to.
It's not that I'm harboring onto it. It's the willingness. Like I wouldn't have said anything about myself 10 years ago that seems so basic and easy for most people, but I don't know how to do it. I know that I could figure it out, but the willingness to say, no, it's not like the most vulnerable thing I have. I'm hiding. I don't know how to change a light. It just was timely in what I was going through right now. It was like, hey, I need to change my light. I ordered it. I don't know how to do it. I'm a 40-year-old man who doesn't know how to change a light. And judge me if you want, but it's the willingness to share those kinds of things. So yeah, I looked it up. Like I wanted to get the spotlights on my pictures. So I looked up and I bought that and it was sitting next to me and I looked up how to do it. And I wore a leather glove, cause I don't have the thing to actually check if the thing is off. Yeah. I don't have the power. So I was like pretty sure, right? Like you flick off the power and then the light that I had in there wasn't on. So it should be off. It should be off, but I've also never done this before. So like, okay, well, you know what? Let's just wear the leather glove. I made it happen. It was very easy. It was very easy. So then I got my confidence all high, like, oh my God, I'm actually a handyman. So then I go on paint and I did such a bad job on the paint. I mean, it's okay, but my edge work is
terrible.
My edge work is just garbage. So we're probably gonna have somebody come in and like fix my floors and stuff. And I don't want to install hardwood floors in here myself.
You're not gonna keep the carpet?
No, we're gonna. I changed up my angle, right? You haven't even seen this, so this is.
No, I did change the. Yeah. You have the angle, and you've surrounded the LED lighting behind it.
You've seen the LED. So I messed up my LED lighting now when I took it off. But then that wall, that's gonna have 2 rows, and they're gonna put all the YouTube stuff on top of there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna replace the carpet. But I'm not gonna do that. That's another thing. Hey, I could learn that, but Jesus, no interest in that's a whole project I don't want to take on.
Okay.
No interest in that.
Well, that's it. That's our episode.
If you want to see our episode last week with a guest host, Louie, check it out right there next to us. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe. We'll see you there.